Welcome to Railroad Town. We are a recreated 19th century community here at the Stuhr Museum in Grand Island, Nebraska. We interpret a time period from 1890 to 1899 on an annual basis. Each year is a little bit different depending upon what year it is in the decade. It is 1890 this year in Railroad Town. My name is Cynova. I'm the Director of Interpretive Resources. I'm also have been known from time to time as the town gossip. So I like to keep people informed about things in Railroad Town. We have a wonderful array of businesses and homes, and we would love to have you come and see us. Railroad Town is located on the grounds of the Stuhr Museum, which is in and around the neighborhood of 200 acres worth of grounds. Railroad Town, of course, is much smaller than those 200 acres, but it does encompass approximately 2 city blocks, maybe a little bit more, of structures. We have businesses from anywhere from the telephone exchange to millinery to blacksmith. We also have homes that you can visit and see what life is like in the 1890s. I'm sitting here on the front porch of the Lusher House in Railroad Town. It is one of 7 homes that we have in Railroad Town. It is probably on the upper end of the spectrum of the homes where we have kind of a range of middle-class homes. Each house is very unique. They have very unique histories. The people that are associated with the houses have very unique histories. A lot of them were town builders of Grand Island, Nebraska and the Hall County area. We even have the home that was the childhood home of one of our founders, Leo Stuhr. And it is a little bit more on the primitive side. The Millinery and the Lusher House tend to hit towards the upper end of the spectrum, and then we have the kind of the middling ones of the Stuhr and the Bell House. The unique thing about the Bell Cottage is that that was also the birthplace of Henry Fonda. He was born in that house on the 16th of May in 1905. While we don't have any artifacts or anything that belong to the Fonda family, we did try to decorate it and set it up sympathetically to the time period that he was born. The Millinery house is a 2-story house, as is the Stuhr, but they're completely different. Millinery has a unique feature where they have a storeroom with storage racks to keep linens and things on, and the Stuhr house is just 2 bedrooms. So we have a nice range of things that we can show off here in Railroad Town. They're unique both inside and out. They have some nice yards. In some years, the flowers are better than others, but then that's anybody's garden. The unique thing about the Millinery house is it's an Italianate style house. The Millinery family actually were in New York for a period of time before they moved to Nebraska, and the community that they lived in had a large number of Italianate homes, and I like to think that they kind of brought that inspiration with them when they came. A lot of the other homes were built with kind of more simplicity. They were simple cottages for people just starting out their homes. The Lusher House, the unique feature about the Lusher House is it's been remodeled a number of times. It's been added on to at least once, possibly twice in its history. It was much smaller to begin with, and then it ended up, by the time the Lushers had it, it gained this grand porch, and it gained a really unique dining room, and it is the only home that has a dumbwaiter in it, and it is still operational. Right now I'm in front of the Amanda Glade Millinery and Dressmaking Shop in Railroad Town. It is a very unique feature. Not a lot of places have a millinery shop. Our milliners have been cranking out hats for over 10 years. So we have 4 milliners now. One's a milliner in training. She's an apprentice. And they look at the hats from the 1890 time period and they recreate them to look like the hats of that period. So they have very unique designs. They're gussied up with flowers and ribbons and all types of things like that. We have even made hats to order. We have hats that have gone to the Kentucky Derby. We have hats that have gone, I believe, to Europe. So it is a very popular shop. We also, other trades that we have in Railroad Town is a working wood planing mill where we have different items that can be created wood-wise, some toys and things, but the planing mill would be a place where if you needed some trim for your house, some of the ornate features that you see on outside of some of our homes, that's where you'd go to get those types of things. We also have a working tinsmith and blacksmith in Railroad Town. Our tinsmith recreates a lot of 19th century tinware items, and our blacksmith has been known to do anything from making a puzzle to putting a tire on a wheel. So it's very unique to have that. On the other end of Railroad Town, on the south part of Railroad Town, we also have an operational telephone exchange with a switchboard, and you can make calls between a couple of the buildings here in Railroad Town as well. There are a lot of living history sites in the United States, and they cover a lot of different time periods. We're one of the very few that covers the 1890s in Railroad Town. We are looking a lot at the trades. The trades in a community like ours in the 19th century could make or break the community. Having a railroad was very important, but also having some of the trades. You wanted to have some key features in your town. And by having a blacksmith, that was a very important part to have as your community, because you knew that people were going to come to your town and trade. The more trades you had, the more people you drew, and the more people you drew, the more money they spent in your community, thus helping the town to grow. When you visit Railroad Town, there's a lot of things that you can do over the course of a summer. We like to focus on things that actually happened in the 19th century. So our mission-related events include a Memorial Day observance, a 4th of July celebration, and an agricultural fair. But we intersperse that with a lot of different focus events. Just recently we held a picnic event where we looked at picnicking and all of the things that you had to take with you to have a picnic in the 19th century. Outside of that, we do other events through the course of the year. We have a harvest fair, which is tied to the agricultural fair in September. In October, we do the All Hallows event. That's always a big hit with the kids, but the grown-ups seem to like it too. And finally, our Christmas Past and Present event, which we have been doing for a very long time, where you can come and you can look at different times periods, not only the 1890s, but the 1860s at our log cabins and modern aspects of Christmas in our Stuhr building. We work towards being a community that accurately represents the 19th century, depending upon the different things that occurred, not only the events of the 1890s. We look at the events of the 1890s. We also look at the material culture of the 1890s. Some of that is played out in our homes and our businesses. We try to represent that in our General Mercantile Emporium, where we offer goods and just the products that are representative of that time period. We cannot fully stock the items that would have been available in the 19th century in a Mercantile, but we can touch on some of those things, from the goods, some jewelry, some bonnets, candy, very popular then and now. We just all kinds of different things that are unique. We try to find things that are uniquely 19th century that we can offer for purchase in our Mercantile. We also have items that are not necessarily for purchase, but they're an example of something that you might have seen in a Mercantile in the 19th century, such as a roll of toilet paper, which represents something that would have been available in the 19th century. And also chamber pots. We have a few of those in here as well. But by and large, the favorite thing that we have in our Mercantile is the candy. Most of the time we find that everybody has a hard time deciding which is their favorite, and they end up purchasing a nice selection. I know that there are some people who prefer the sour cherries and others who prefer lemon drops, and periodically we even get a couple people to try the horehound candy, but not very many. But perhaps you should come and give it a sample. When you're planning your visit to Railroad Town, you might want to take into consideration the fact that we're not small. We're not huge, but we're not small. And you might want to look at the weather. It can get rather warm in Railroad Town in the afternoons. We see a lot more people in the mornings. When we open, it's much cooler. There's more shade in certain parts of Railroad Town at that time. We have a very conveniently located parking lot just on the south end of Railroad Town, where a bus or a vehicle can be parked, and then you can saunter on into town, stroll down the boardwalk on Front Street, and go down the paths to the different homes and businesses that we have here. But plan accordingly and make sure that you have a lot of time, because I'm willing to bet that if you plan for an hour, you're going to spend a lot more. We do offer a food service on the grounds as well, so you can get something at the Silver Dollar to eat. And by the way, we do have ice cream and soda. When you visit Railroad Town, you are likely to encounter a number of living historians who work in Railroad Town. They represent the people who lived in the homes and worked in the businesses in a town of our size in the late 19th century. Our living historians many of them have been with us for many, many years, and they have studied and learned a great deal about what life is like in the 19th century. Use them as a way to make that connection with the past. You can visit with them and you can find out some of the stories of the 19th century, but you can also find out more about the material culture, about some of the events of the 19th century. You can pick their brain about a lot of different things, and some of them are quite expert at food preparation in the 19th century. So you can have a very rich visit with any number of the living historians that you meet in Railroad Town.